New York are the New York Knicks back after signing Kemba Walker after Kemba got his buyout from the Oklahoma City Thunder. Kemba Walker previously spent time with the Hornets. Then he was signed over with the he signed over with the Boston Celtics, and he was traded to OKC this offseason, got his buyout. Now he's a member of the Knicks. The Knicks are coming off of a season where nobody thought they were going to make the playoffs. They did. They got the most improved player on their roster. They have RJ Barrett, who's coming on as a budding superstar. There's a lot to be happy about in New York. But what should Knicks fans think about Kemba Walker's addition to this team, and what can he provide for them?
So what Kemba provides, dude, is anyone who watched the Knicks play last year, dude, they had guards that were offensively challenged. Like, the playoffs even showed it. Derrick Rose was the best player, best guard, but best player on the court. And a lot of that just had to do with the fact that, he turned back the clock a little bit when he had to. And he, that's the kind of like leader that he is. When Julius Randle, it was his first go around in the playoffs. Same with RJ Barrett. They're still young. You're going to have your playoff struggles, especially when you're young guys. So guys like Derrick Rose, Taj Gibson, guys that have been there before who have the pedigree, which is part of the reason why we bought them back. That was it was evident. So what Kemba Walker brings is he brings scoring, which is something that we needed because Elfrid Payton was offensively challenged. Frank, we didn't necessarily use Frank as a point guard. We used him more as a two guard, but he was more of a spot up shooter. So what he brings to the table is instant offense. He's not the best defender. He is undersized, and the injury is a concern, but he's going to help them mentor. Like, he's going to be a big mentor for a guy who they want to groom into potentially being the point guard of the future in Emmanuel Quickly. If you're watching NBA Summer League, Quickly did not have the best. He didn't have the best performance yesterday, dude. He came on today, though, 32, 8, was the best player on the floor against the Indiana Pacers in the Summer League. So Obi Toppin was another one. He had 22 today. He had 24 yesterday. So what Kemba's going to allow them to do is Kemba is going to allow him. He's going to serve as a mentor. Him and Derrick Rose are going to serve as a mentor for a guy like Emmanuel Quickly, and he's going to help them bridge. He's going to make the bridge easier while still, once again, allowing the Knicks to be able to compete. Because now this is something that Knicks fans have harped on for a while. For the longest time, dude, we haven't had a legitimate point guard. We did have Derrick Rose in his first stint in New York, but you're putting a slashing guard in the triangle, which is more, you need a spot up shooter. Point guard is a spot up shooter. So it didn't work. Now you're in a free flowing offense with Tibbs, who's going to demand these guys play defense. And one thing that Tibbs is very good at, which is what I'm really hoping is going to work in Kemba Walker's favor, is Tibbs is very good at maximizing players. And we know Kemba Walker has the talent. If Tibbs is able to tap into that talent that we know Kemba Walker has, the Knicks are going to be a lot better than people think. Like, I think they're going to be a playoff team this year. Do I think a top 4 seed? I mean, that's going to depend on how they play on the court, dude, but I think we'll definitely be a playoff team. Like, if not a top 4 seed, we'll definitely vie for that 5 or 6. I don't see us in the play-in tournament, dude. I don't. We got a lot better this season than we were last season. We replaced Reggie Bullock with Fournier, who's a bona fide scorer, and we replaced offensively challenged Elfrid Payton with Kemba Walker to go along with a deep bench. Guys we bought in the draft and some guys we bought back. So I'm excited for New York, dude. I'm expecting RJ to make a big jump in year 3, and Julius Randle. I'm expecting Julius Randle to keep getting better. He's still young. He's 25. I'm expecting Julius Randle to build on the success he had this season, and everybody make the jump. The young guys make the jump, and this New York team could be a pretty good team. I'm not going to say we're championship ready yet, but the foundation is definitely there for years to come for us to be a perennial playoff team, and down the road maybe a champion.
Yeah, the other weird thing was, like, in the draft, the Knicks didn't really get anyone. Like, they even the kids they drafted, they ended up trading
their solid pieces. Trust me, dude. You watch Jericho Sims. Jericho Sims has been turning up in the Summer League. He's not lighting up the box score, dude, but the things that he does, rebound, block shots, dude, he's probably the most athletic player coming out of this draft, which is saying something because that dude that we originally drafted and traded to LA for Quentin Grimes had the highest vertical ever registered at the combine. And this kid might be more athletic than that kid, Jericho Sims.
Yeah, I mean, look, we'll see about that, but that was one thing that stood out to me. Like, but going back to Kemba Walker real quick, because Kemba, like, we've expected him to be the Kemba Walker of old for a little bit now. Like the Kemba Walker that we saw the first few years in Charlotte. But it really didn't manifest itself too much with the Boston Celtics. He was supposed to come in and take over the Kyrie Irving spot. That didn't happen. But can he come to New York and provide, like, is he going to be the same guy? Is he going to be the same Kemba Walker of old? And if he is going to be that same guy, does that, like, increase their chances of making it past the first round?
Absolutely, dude. Because the biggest problem that we saw when we ran into the playoffs was, as good as the defense was, we ran out of scoring. Like, we were able to defend to an extent, but once playoff basketball starts, you got explosive offenses, dude. Like, Atlanta is an explosive offensive team with Trae Young and those shooters they got around them. And we just ran out of offense. Randall, it was his first, I think his first or second go around, but it was his first go around as the guy. He stalled because they were game planning for him. RJ, it was his first go around in the playoffs. He was only 20. He did have one big dunk that kind of lit the garden up, but he's still young. And the young guys like that, they got to learn how to win. That's why, when you saw the Knicks in the playoffs, you saw guys like the guys who had the biggest impact were the guys who had been in that situation before. Taj Gibson, guys like Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose is our best player in that series. So what Kemba Walker brings is he brings a veteran guy who has playoff experience. He has the experience of being the guy. He's a bucket getter too. Down the stretch, you need a guy to take the last shot. Now they can't just key in on a guy like Julius Randle and double him and say, let somebody else beat us, because now we have a guy like Kemba Walker. They call him Cardiac Kemba for a reason, dude. He's broken a lot of hearts with game-winning shots, college and in the NBA. So a lot of it's going to depend on his knees, though. If his knees hold up, and I'm really hoping they do because he has had the injury concerns. But if his knees hold up, he is going to be a big piece for New York. And I think, yes, if his knees hold up and his health, isn't an issue, we are good enough. We are good enough with Tibbs' defensive scheme and with now the scoring that we have around guys like Randall and Barrett. We're good enough to get out of the first round.
Yeah. Okay. So I got a question. Going off of that, I have a question. Does this addition make them contenders in the Eastern Conference?
I think we could be an upstart. You could see us potentially become an upstart team like Atlanta, because when you look at us on paper, Atlanta has a lot of talent, a lot of young talent. We, on paper, as of right now, I mean, Trae Young's a baller. You know what you're getting out of Trae Young. You know you're going to get 30, probably 27 to 30, 12 assists, 3-4 rebounds. You know what you're going to get out of Trae Young offensively. Bogdanovich is a guy who can give you 20. Herter, white boy, he's a guy that can, go off and have a big game, but he's going to lay around like the 12 to 15 point range. We have more talent than they do. The question is just going to be, health. That's the biggest thing, because now we have more talent. Like we can match a team like Atlanta, who's going to have one of the most explosive offenses in the NBA next season. We can match them now scoring, because we brought in guys like Fournier. Our second unit has guys like Derrick Rose, like Emmanuel Quickly, Obi Toppin. If you're watching Summer League, he's taking that next step. He's more consistent of a shooter. He's able to get to his spots now. He's bullying some of these guys. Like, he's turning into the player that we wanted him to be when we drafted him. And we brought in we brought back some veteran guys too, like Alec Burks, who's just a bona fide scorer. So we can match the scoring of a lot of these teams now with Tibbs' defensive scheme. Obviously, good offense beats good defense, and with how explosive a lot of these teams are, we're gonna have to see. But yeah, I think we are good enough to do what Atlanta did this past season and get to an Eastern Conference Finals.
Thanks for watching this video from Real Take Sports Talk. Remember to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Also, remember to check out our live show every single Thursday at 8 p.m. right here on the YouTube channel. And remember, keep it real.